At our engagement party, Landon Hayes' new assistant accidentally spilled a glass of champagne on my dress. Landon, usually so calm and refined, exploded with a fury I hadn't seen in years. I was about to step in to tell him it was fine when a strange thought pierced through the noise, sharp and clear, like a caption appearing at the bottom of a screen. And so the tragedy begins. The hero, blind to his own heart, doesn't realize he loves the heroine. He thinks he loves the fiancée, but that's just habit, a comfortable memory. Vivian, the dying first love, is about to be written out of the story. The real couple needs to clear up this misunderstanding so their story can begin. My heart skipped a beat. Vivian, that's my name. Right now, Landon was cornering the girl, Sarah. He knew she didn't drink, but he was giving her an ultimatum. Apologize properly or drink 3 glasses of whiskey neat. A faint smile touched my lips. That's enough. I'll drink it for her. Was I supposed to be the villain in this story? Fine. It was just a man. If I didn't want him, I didn't have to have him. The whiskey burned a path down my throat, and a familiar fire spread through my stomach. Excusing myself to the restroom, I barely made it to the hallway before fumbling for the antacids in my purse. Ma'am, you don't seem like a bad person. I turned. It was the assistant, Sarah Quinn. She stood there in a pale pink dress and delicate stilettos, looking like a fragile flower, swaying in the wind. She was the kind of pretty that made you want to protect her. I wanted to thank you for taking that drink from me, she said, her voice soft. So, I have to tell you something. She bit her lip, then looked me straight in the eye. Mr. Hayes doesn't love you anymore. Because he and we've slept together. She didn't stop there. It wasn't a one-time drunken mistake. It's happened more than once. And in the middle of it, when he was completely lost in the moment, he even talked about marrying me. Even though the captions in my head had prepared me, I'd never encountered a mistress this blunt. I found myself speechless. I leaned against the cool marble wall, lit a cigarette, and exhaled a long, slow stream of smoke. And her eyes glistened with unshed tears. She undid the top 3 buttons of her dress, revealing a pale shoulder. A dark, distinct bite mark stood out against her skin, surrounded by a constellation of red marks that crawled toward her collarbone. The sight was a punch to the gut. Mr. Hayes has been on countless business trips, she continued, her voice gaining confidence. He took me on every single one. We watched the aurora in Iceland. He taught me how to drive a race car. We spent a whole day at Disneyland. He buys me my favorite cotton candy. He told me that if he had met me sooner, everything would be different. She paused, letting the words sink in. He said he's tired of powerful, calculating women. That my innocence, my purity, that's what's truly precious. Just then, the door to the ballroom swung open. Sarah suddenly grabbed my hand, her voice breaking into a sob. Ms. Reed, it's all my fault. I already had 3 drinks to apologize, I swear. Please forgive me. My family doesn't have much money. I can't lose this job. That's when I noticed the dark wine stain already on her collar. She had planned this from the start. She swayed and crumpled toward the floor. In the same instant, Landon lunged forward, catching her just before she hit the ground. His eyes were blazing with fury as he looked at her. You know you have a severe alcohol allergy. Why would you drink just because someone told you to? Are you trying to kill yourself? As he swept her up into his arms and headed for the exit, he spoke to me over his shoulder, his voice like ice. Vivian, I get that you hate her, but you didn't have to do it like this. I told you I'd handle it for you. I watched him burst through the doors with her in his arms, then took another drag from my cigarette. Landon's new assistant was a recent college grad, all wide-eyed innocence and youthful uncertainty. She reminded me of myself, years ago. Her looks, her aura, it was all so familiar. Landon's taste hadn't changed a bit. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through Landon's Instagram. She hadn't been lying. Iceland, a racetrack, Disneyland. They were all there. Landon, who never posted anything, had filled his feed in the last 6 months. The captions were written in a young, bubbly style, complete with emojis. His profile banner, I now realized, was a shot of the Northern Lights. It was laughable, really. From high school until now, life had always gotten in the way. We'd never once taken a real vacation, just the 2 of us. Forcing myself to stand straight, I walked back into the ballroom and took the microphone. My apologies, everyone, I said, my voice steady. I'm not feeling well this evening, so we'll have to postpone the engagement ceremony. I hope you all can understand. A murmur swept through the crowd as guests began to whisper. I just stared at the ceiling, a bitter smile on my face. It wasn't a big deal. It was just, I only had a month left to live. Landon and I met in high school. He was the rich, arrogant asshole. I was the poor scholarship kid who only knew how to study. Not long after school started, the teacher made us desk partners. Everyone assumed he would make my life a living hell. But instead, he did a complete 180. He dyed his hair back to its natural black, he stopped sleeping in class, and he always got to school early to wipe down my desk. A group of townies from the rival high school started harassing me, trying to get my number. When he found out, he went after them by himself, like he had a death wish. He ended up in the ER with 8 stitches, and when his parents yelled at him, he never once said it was because of me. Seeing him all bruised and swollen, I couldn't stop crying. He, like a magician, pulled a single, perfect rose from his pocket, a grin spreading across his battered face. "Vivi, I was just picking you a flower. Beating up those degenerates was just a side quest." Sunlight streamed through the hospital window, illuminating his face. He rarely looked so serious. "If you really feel that bad, you could always just be my girlfriend. I'm serious. I really like you." On my 18th birthday, he took me to meet his parents. I remember it clearly. His mother looked me over with a blank expression. "Our family can accept a daughter-in-law without connections or a prestigious background," she'd said coolly. "But we have no need for a girl like you. Landon needs a powerhouse who can stand beside him, not some wilting flower he has to protect." Landon had immediately flared up, insisting I was exactly who he wanted. But I etched her words into my brain. For the next decade, I worked relentlessly. I learned to be cunning, to smoke and drink, to command a boardroom until everyone addressed me with respect as Ms. Reed. But the way he looked at me grew more and more complicated. One night, drunk, he buried his face in my shoulder and mumbled for a long time before collapsing onto the sofa. "Vivi," he sighed, "I miss the way you used to be, like a little flower." I just smiled, tucked a blanket around him, and went back to my laptop to pull an all-nighter reviewing contracts. I went home and slept for the entire afternoon. When I woke up, my phone had blown up with missed calls from friends and family. Even Landon's mother had called a dozen times, demanding to know what happened. Over the years, his parents had come to admire and accept me. It was Landon himself who had grown distant. "It has nothing to do with any of that, Mrs. Hayes," I texted back, my thumb hovering over the screen. "Landon and I just aren't right for each other." After sending the message, I lay in bed, watching the dusk settle outside my window until the room was completely dark. The door creaked open, letting in a rush of cool air. A figure climbed onto the bed and wrapped me in a tight embrace. "Honey," Landon's hot breath ghosted across my neck. "I was a total jerk today. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that, but you have to understand. I'm the CEO. If an employee has a problem on my watch, it looks bad for me." He nuzzled closer. "I already had her fired. Just forgive me, okay? I'll take some time off, stay home, and spend it all with you." His breathing quickened, his hands starting to wander, but I shoved him away with all my strength. That seemed to sober him up. "Why?" he demanded, grabbing my wrist. "Why are you rejecting me?" In the darkness, I stared into his eyes, my own feeling numb. "You slept with your assistant, didn't you?" Even though I already knew the answer, I needed to hear it from him. The silence stretched for 2 seconds before he spoke. "No. Who told you that?" But I knew him too well. His hesitation, his silence. That was the answer. "You lied to me. You had a relationship with her." My voice was terrifyingly calm. "She told me herself. Do you want me to call her right now and ask her with you on the line?" His breathing became heavier. "I'm sorry." And then he was on his knees in front of me, clinging to me, tears streaming down his face. "Vivi, I really do love you. There has to be a way to fix this. We can face this together, okay? Please. I didn't mean for it to happen. Don't leave me. I can't lose you." He cried harder, his arms like steel bands, trapping me. He knew that this always worked. The moment he begged like this, I would melt. I could never say no to him. But this time I fought through the stabbing pain in my chest. "Landon," I said, "it's over. My name is Vivian Reed. I don't take damaged goods." I tried to get off the bed, but he lunged, grabbing me in a desperate, reckless embrace. "You are not leaving me. You're mine, and you're not going anywhere." He dragged me back onto the bed, frantically grabbing for his belt, a tie, anything he could use to tie me up. "I'll kill anyone who tries to keep us apart. You are mine for eternity." Suddenly, his phone rang. He ignored it, but it rang again. Landon paused, snatching the phone from the nightstand. He kept his voice low, but I could still hear the frantic words on the other end. "Mr. Hayes, Ms. Quinn's allergic reaction is severe. She's coughing up blood and needs a transfusion." Landon cut him off impatiently. "Then give her a damn transfusion. I'll pay for whatever it costs." "No, sir, you don't understand. Ms. Quinn has a rare blood type. We don't have it in our blood bank. Her type, it's the same as Ms. Reed's." Landon's hand trembled. "No reserves? What about other hospitals nearby?" He was on his feet now, pulling on his shoes. "I'm on my way. If you're lying to me, I'll tear your entire hospital apart. Before he left, he gave the housekeeper strict orders not to let me out of the house. He locked the bedroom door himself. I heard the deadbolt slide home 3 times and pocketed the key. If anything happens to her, I'll make sure you disappear from this city, he roared, his eyes red-rimmed. He turned to me one last time, his gaze a shattered mess of emotions. Wait for me. I'll deal with this and come right back. We have so many good memories, Vivi. We can get back to the way we were. I know we can. He rushed out, leaving me feeling nothing but disgust. He gets to enjoy the innocence and energy of a young girl, seeing a ghost of my younger self in her. Then, when he gets caught cheating, he cries and begs and says he can't live without me. After all this, did he really think we could just go back? Late that night, fighting through a wave of stomach pain, I dial my best friend, Tessa, who was on vacation in Sedona. Using a code we'd created years ago, I asked her to come get me. With 1 month left to live, I was done being the Vivian who existed only for Landon Hayes. I just wanted to be myself. Tessa immediately knew something was wrong. So hungry you're calling me this late? She asked, her voice carefully casual. Why not just order some takeout? No, I'm on a diet. All this extra weight is holding me back. I heard her sharp intake of breath. She knew. It meant I was being held captive. Got it, she said, her tone shifting slightly. Well, I'll order something for you when I have a minute. My vacation should be over in 2 or 3 days. I knew Tessa was setting a plan in motion. Until then, I couldn't afford to provoke Landon. I knew that even if he acted like he couldn't let me go, it was only out of habit. He didn't love me, but he wouldn't release me, either. He came back after midnight, bringing a chill from the outside with him. Good girl, he murmured, his voice soft as he came to my side. You waited for me. He tried to hand me a glass of warm milk. It's cold out. You need to take care of yourself. He gently brushed my hair back from my face, exposing the forehead of the high school girl he'd first known, and smiled with satisfaction. My Vivi is still as beautiful as ever. The prettiest girl at Northwood High, no contest. Get one thing straight, I said, my voice cold. I'm not the girl you knew in high school, and you are not the boy you were back then. He flinched as if I'd slapped him, and his hand dropped. My hair, styled in glamorous, dramatic waves, fell around my shoulders, carrying the scent of my usual assertive perfume. The softness in Landon's eyes vanished, replaced by a cool clarity. I was at the hospital, he said. Sarah Quinn is still unconscious. She needs a transfusion. Unfortunately, her blood type is the same as yours. It's rare, and the hospital doesn't have enough in stock. His voice was hoarse. Vivi, she ended up like this because she was trying to apologize to you. So he trailed off, looking at me with pleading eyes. He knew I would never make things difficult for him. And what if I say no? I clenched my fists. What makes you so sure she actually drank anything? I already took the drink for her. Why would I then torture her? She's the one who followed me into the hallway and said all those things to hurt me, but I never. Vivian, Landon's smile was tragic. You just said it yourself. She said things to hurt you. So you lost your temper and taught her a lesson, right? His voice dripped with disappointment. Sarah is as simple as a blank page. You, on the other hand, I've seen what you can do in a boardroom. That one sentence shattered me. The world tilted, a wave of dizziness washing over me as my consciousness began to slip away. The last thing I saw was Landon catching me as I fell, his lips pressing against my forehead. No matter what you've done, you'll still be my wife. After this is over, we'll get married, and we will never be apart again. When I woke up, I was tangled in a web of tubes, too weak to move a muscle. The rhythmic beeping of machines filled the air. My arms were peppered with needle marks, and a thick tube was taped to the back of my hand. So, the milk had been drugged. Landon had already made his decision before he'd even come home. From behind a privacy curtain, I heard a frail, feminine voice. Landon, oh my God, you did this for me. What if Ms. Reed breaks up with you? Landon's voice was hard as stone. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this so Vivian doesn't have to live with the guilt. She'll understand. We're never breaking up. The girl was quiet for a few seconds. They have to take so much blood. I'm scared of the pain. Can you hold me? Her voice turned into a whimper. Look how thick that needle is. I'm so scared. What if it leaves a scar? I hate scars. Stop it. It won't leave a scar. I'll tell the doctor to be gentle, Landon said, his patience clearly wearing thin. Just then, a nurse pushing a cart hurried past, and a breeze billowed. The curtain opened for a second. In that instant, I saw him, Landon, bending down, gently gathering the girl into his arms. Our eyes met. He saw me watching. I couldn't believe that this was the same boy who, in high school, had sworn he would protect me from ever feeling an ounce of pain. In the decade since, he He had become someone else entirely. Landon, didn't you promise you would never let me get hurt? Vivian. He straightened up stiffly, his face a mask. This time, I knew even he couldn't invent another excuse. He had simply fallen in love with another woman. I've already made the arrangements, he said, his voice void of emotion. We're not having an engagement party next month. The air in the room went still. I saw Sarah, lying on a hospital bed, almost sit up in excitement. A flicker of light returned to Landon's eyes. We're getting married. The minute you're discharged, we're going straight to City Hall. Landon, you bastard. I screamed. Being with you is the biggest mistake of my life. I hope you rot in hell. I hate you. Marriage? You can forget about it. He looked at me and smiled, a broken, joyless thing that crinkled the corners of his eyes. You hate me, he whispered, and I love you. He walked over and, ignoring my struggles, pressed a kiss to my forehead. I hurled every curse I knew at him, until I was sobbing. Please, don't make me give blood. I swear I didn't make Sarah drink. It was all a performance. Please, Landon, I'm really going to die. I'm dying, don't you get it? You're going to regret this. I won't let you die, he said, straightening up. His face was cast in shadow, unreadable. Doctor, you can begin. I was unconscious for 3 days. When I finally woke up, it was dark outside, and Tessa was standing by my bed, dressed as a nurse. Her eyes were swollen and red, as if she'd been crying for days. That son of a bitch, Landon. Look what he's done to you. I knew he was trouble from the start. I never should have let you end up with him. I swear to God, I'm going to kill him. I struggled to sit up, my body feeling as fragile as a piece of paper. I reached out and patted her head. Tessa, my beautiful, reckless friend, you're still the same as you were in high school. There's nothing you can't do if you set your mind to it. This must have cost you a fortune. Don't talk that nonsense, she snapped. I'm about to hire a hitman. I've been digging into it, and that girl wasn't in any danger at all. Why couldn't that asshole just take 5 minutes to double-check anything? Her voice cracked. He swore to me after graduation that he would marry you, that he'd make you happy. Is this his idea of happy? Tessa's eyes were as red as a rabbit's, but my wild, free-spirited girl still had a fire burning in them. Tessa, get me out of here, I whispered. I want to go to the coast. That little town in Oregon we always talked about. It was a cool night when I left the hospital. At that same moment, Landon was down by the river with his new girl, setting off fireworks. A photo posted online showed their two shadows on the ground, leaning closely together. This time, I didn't see it on Landon's Instagram. The girl sent it to me directly. The strawberry cotton candy is so sweet, but he said my kiss is sweeter. He said he's obsessed with my innocence. He's so careful with me. He's dying to, but he said my body needs to recover from the procedure and that he'll take care of me hard when I'm better. She had dropped the mask completely. Let's be honest, there was never anything wrong with me. All that blood you gave, it went right down the drain. My stepfather is the director of this hospital. I'm not like you, Vivian. You came from nothing. My family might not be the Hayes dynasty, but I'm still from a good family. A man like Landon deserves someone like me. Your friend Tessa was only able to get in here because I allowed it. I figured after all this, you'd finally get the picture. In his eyes, I'm the one who matters. Vivian, consider this a kindness, since you took that drink from me. Leave and don't ever come back. If you do, I'll make sure your death is slow and painful. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. So this was Landon's pure, innocent love. I blocked her number and deleted the conversation. Tessa wrapped me in 3 layers of coats and a plush scarf until I felt like a marshmallow. Her brand new, spacious SUV was waiting by the curb, complete with a driver, a private chef, and a personal doctor. Just before I got in the car, I saw an old man selling cotton candy on the street corner. A teenage couple in school jackets were huddled together, rubbing their hands against the cold while they waited. Once upon a time, that was Landon and me. I loved strawberry cotton candy, and he would always buy me several at a time, only to playfully tap my nose as I ate. He'd hold the last one high above my head, teasing, "No more, you little piggy. You'll get a cavity." A cold wind blew, scattering the memory. The girl and a young couple took a bite of her cotton candy and squealed with delight. "This is so good. I'm so happy." The boy looked at her, his eyes full of adoration, and took the chance to playfully mess up her hair. "If you like it, I'll buy it for you again next time. Come on, let's get some hot roasted chestnuts over there." "Good idea. And a hot chocolate." "Youth is a wonderful thing, isn't it?" Tessa murmured beside me. "At our age, if we ate like that at night, we'd be freaking out about the calories. Oh well, flowers may bloom again, but we'll never be young again." She bundled me into the car. A pop song from a decade ago started playing, reminding me of a time when we listened to music on cassette tapes and used brooms as guitars. It felt like we had everything now, except for ourselves. We drove through the night. As soon as we reached the small coastal town in Oregon, I took out my SIM card and replaced it with the new one Tessa gave me, cutting off all ties to my old world. All those years of relentless work had earned me a small fortune, which I'd secretly saved up as a premarital nest egg. I didn't need it for that anymore. I divided it into 3 parts. One donated to a foundation for underprivileged children in Appalachia. Another went to support research for rare diseases. With the rest, I opened an animal sanctuary. I took in dozens of stray animals, mostly cats and dogs. There was one little cat with a gravelly, smoky meow who became my shadow. Whenever he saw me, he trot over and rub against my leg. He wasn't afraid of people at all. If I was sunbathing on the porch, he'd nudge open the gate and saunter out, his tail held high. When I fed him his favorite treat stick, he'd stand on his hind legs, waving his little paws to grab it himself. We had a strange rhythm. I learned to pull my hand back just before his claws came out, then use the opening to scratch his head. "Smokey," I whispered, gently pinching the scruff of his neck. "If you never saw me again, would you miss me?" He actually paused his frantic eating. He looked up at me, his wide eyes unblinking. Something wet splashed onto the dusty ground. I was crying. "Smokey, I bet you used to be a smoker, huh?" I sniffled. "You can't do that anymore. It's better to just be a simple little cat." Finally, I whispered to the quiet air. After losing so many people over the years, the one I regret losing the most is myself. That night, as Landon and Sarah huddled together like high school sweethearts watching the fireworks over the river, he should have felt like he'd finally gotten what he wanted. Instead, a gnawing anxiety grew in his chest. But remembering Sarah was still recovering, he forced himself to stay with her for the night. The price was steep. "Like you said," he told her, his voice flat, "you will never interfere in my life with my wife again." He couldn't stand it. In the early hours of the morning, he bolted from her apartment and raced back to the hospital, bursting into my empty room. "Vivi, I'm back," he shouted into the silence. "I'm never leaving you again. I've hired the best doctors to help you recover." He had foolishly believed that he'd finally seen his own heart clearly, that he could spend the rest of his life with me. But the room was empty. He frantically dialed my number, but the call wouldn't go through. The only thing in his inbox was a single message from an unknown number. Sarah walked in just in time to see Landon standing frozen in the middle of the room. "Landon, honey?" "I just asked the nurses." "Ms. Reed was picked up by her best friend." She had carefully applied a no-makeup look before coming, making her appear even more fragile and pitiable. She came up behind him, and when he didn't move, tentatively wrapped her arms around his waist, pressing her body against his back. "Landon," she left on her own. "She's not coming back. But I'm not like her. I will never, ever leave you. Whatever you want me to be, I can be." A violent force threw her backward. Landon's hand was clamped around her throat. "Sarah." Landon's eyes were bloodshot, his gaze completely shattered. "I trusted you. You were lying to me, performing for me, this whole time. You made me lose the only person I have ever loved. I'm going to kill you." The text message was from Tessa. It contained screenshots of Sarah's taunting messages to me. It also contained the security footage from the hotel hallway. Everything was there, spelling out for Landon just how horrifically wrong he had been. "Landon, you blind, stupid bastard. You deserve to live with this guilt for the rest of your miserable life. You will never see Vivian again." At first, Sarah tried to play dumb, but when confronted with the evidence, she broke down in tears. "Landon, I really do love you. When you came to my university to give a speech as a distinguished alumnus, I fell in love with you at first sight. I worked up the courage to ask a question, and then I chased after you to get your contact info, but you walked too fast. I couldn't keep up. After graduation, I worked so hard to get a job at your company. I studied everything you liked. I molded myself into the person you wanted. I just wanted to be with you." Sarah was a mirror reflecting Landon's own desires. She understood his inner conflicts and expertly played the role of the innocent girl in need of protection, satisfying his masculine ego. In other words, it was Landon's own selfish desires that had dealt the fatal blow to the woman he loved. He couldn't even tell anymore if he wanted a vibrant, innocent girl, or if he just wanted the Vivian he'd lost years ago. "Sarah, we were a mistake from the very beginning," Landon said, his laugh turning cruel. "Vivian was right. I'm a monster, a bastard." He leaned in close. "And now, I'm going to show you what a real monster looks like." He locked Sarah in the cellar of his villa, where she endured unspeakable torment. As for her family members who had participated in the medical fraud, he dealt with them one by one, using the most brutal methods he could devise. After that, Landon began a frantic, nationwide search for me. All surveillance records of my departure had been wiped. My old social media accounts were dormant. He couldn't track me. He had to resort to the old-fashioned way. Abandon everything and just look. Landon, are you even my son anymore? What have you become? His mother stormed in, her face contorted with rage, and slapped him hard across the face. She had been working herself to the bone, cleaning up the messes he'd made. And now he was giving up the entire company to find one woman. I told you years ago that Vivian was right for you. If you had just treated her well, none of this would have happened. But no, you had to go find someone else, and now that she's left you, you can't handle it. His mother grew more furious with every word, slapping him again. Do you have any idea what people are saying? This family is a laughingstock. But Mom, Landon said, a bitter smile on his face as he dialed another private investigator. I finally realized that none of it matters. The money, the reputation, none of it. And I regret everything. His mother knew that when her son made up his mind, nothing could change it. She left him to his madness. Some said Landon Hayes had lost his mind over a woman. Others said he got what he deserved. A man who treasures his wife finds success and fortune. A man who cheats on her ends up like this. As fate would have it, after months of searching, he received an anonymous message online. Someone claimed they had seen me in a small town on the Oregon coast, near a place called Cannon Beach. The captions in my head told me I had less than a week. That day, I woke up early as usual and headed to the sanctuary. But as I approached, I saw the road outside was lined with black SUVs. I immediately knew something was wrong and turned to run, but then I heard Tessa's furious voice. Landon, you animal. Calling you an animal is an insult to animals. You dare tie me up? I'll call the cops, you psycho. Thank you for taking care of Vivian all this time. A man's voice, thick with exhaustion, replied. I'm here to take her home. But before I do, can you just tell me, is she okay? Has her health improved at all? Screw you. You have the audacity to ask me that after what you did? I'll tell you something, you monster. Vivian is sick. Very sick. If you want her to live even one more day, you'll get the hell out of here right now and never let her see your face again. Sick? That's impossible. She's always been so strong. I remember during business deals, I'd be dead on my feet, and she could keep going for days. Landon's voice trailed off as the realization hit him. He slapped himself hard. You're right. I'm a monster. I couldn't even protect my own woman. Where's Vivian now? His voice dropped, turning dangerously cold. You took care of her, so for that, I am in your debt. I won't hurt you, but if you refuse to take me to her, Landon, you bastard. You touch one hair on one animal here, and I swear, I'll dig up your ancestors. I will murder your entire family. Landon got out of his car, slamming the door. Hearing the commotion, Smokey nudged open the gate with his head and trotted out. The moment he saw the stranger, his fur bristled, and he arched his back in a defensive posture. As Landon started walking toward the sanctuary, Smokey let out a series of sharp meows and launched himself forward like a tiny, furry warrior. His claws sank into Landon's leg. The message was clear. Get out, or you'll get worse next time. You little rat, Landon snarled, the pressure of the past months finally making him snap. You want to die? He snatched Smokey from the ground and slammed him down onto the pavement. No. By the time I reached them, it was too late. Smokey was lying on the ground, a pool of dark blood spreading from his mouth. Landon turned to me, a demonic, bloodthirsty smile twisting his face. Vivi, I knew you were nearby. See? It wasn't so hard for you to come out and see me, was it? He had no idea that in that moment, all I wanted was to see him dead. I knelt on the ground beside Smokey's lifeless body. I don't know how long I stayed there. Finally, I stood up and smiled. Let my friend go, I said, my voice eerily calm. I'll go with you. He laughed, a triumphant, ugly sound, and pulled me into a crushing hug. The stubble on his chin scraped painfully against my cheek. Everything that happened before. That was my fault, he whispered desperately. Trust me, Vivian. Just give me one more chance. I swear I'll make you happy. You like animals? We'll get more when we go back. I'll buy you a whole ranch. You can have as many as you want. We've been through so much together for so many years. We can start over. No one will ever come between us again. I stared blankly up at the sky. The captions appeared. One day left. Landon took me to a high-security luxury hotel in the city, a few miles away. That night, he held me in a suffocating embrace, his arms and legs trapping me against him. He kissed me over and over, mumbling things in a half-conscious state. I stared at his face in the dark, so pale it seemed to glow. The night we turned 18, we slept together for the first time. I had traced the outline of his eyebrows, his nose, his lips with my finger. I finally belonged to him completely. I had thought, and he finally belongs to me. I was so happy then, so full of joy. Now all I felt was a chilling disgust. As his breathing deepened into a steady rhythm of sleep, I slowly pulled the ornate stiletto hairpin from my hair and plunged it into his neck. He cried out in pain, instinctively shoving me away with brutal force. I tumbled off the bed and slammed into the wall, the impact feeling like my insides were being torn apart. Damn it. I wouldn't get to kill him with my own hands to avenge Smokey. When Landon realized it was me, pure panic washed over him. He scrambled over, pulling me into his arms. But blood was pouring from my mouth and nose, a torrent he couldn't stop. Vivi, what are you doing? I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. I thought I was having a nightmare. Somebody help. You can't die. You hear me? You wanted to kill me, right? Get up. You can stab me 100 times. I won't stop you. Somebody help. He held my body, his voice breaking into heart-wrenching sobs. I summoned the last of my strength. Landon, I gasped, remember this. You killed me. You. I pressed my bloody handprint firmly onto his chest. You're the one who killed Vivian Reed. In the haze, I saw my grandma. She was carrying a wicker basket on her back, walking slowly along a mountain path, a little girl toddling behind her. The little girl was trying her best to lift the heavy basket, straining with all her might. My grandma had laughed so hard she had to bend over. Oh, my little Vivi, you're not even as tall as the basket. You walk in front of me, where I can see you. The little girl pouted. I'm already in elementary school, and I'm still so short. I'm going to eat a lot and grow really tall, and then I'll carry all the baskets for you. She ran ahead and used her sleeve to wipe the sweat from her grandma's brow. I don't want you to work so hard. Grandma is strong. I used to carry your mother on my back for miles while I went to chop wood. Now I'm carrying you, and it's no problem at all. Why were those memories so beautiful? So beautiful they felt unreal, like they had slipped through my fingers in the blink of an eye. That strong old woman. One rainy afternoon, after making dinner, she said she wanted to lie down for a little nap. She never woke up. Through the fog, I saw her now, walking toward me with her basket. She was here to take me home. My little Vivi, she said, her voice full of love. You've suffered so much. Tears streamed down my face. I closed my eyes and fell into her embrace. Grandma, take me with you. I'll never leave you again. Dying in Landon's arms, letting him believe he had killed the woman he loved. That was my final revenge. Vivi, stop joking. This isn't funny, he pleaded, his voice ragged. You're so healthy. How could you die? I know you hate me. You want to leave me, right? Is that it? You're still mad? You won't forgive me, and that's fine. But you can't say things like that about yourself. Landon's body swayed and then collapsed, still holding me, his cries echoing in the silent room. I was wrong. Please just say something. Say one word, and I'll leave. I'll go as far away as you want. But I was already gone. He felt the warmth drain from my body, the finality of it sinking in. He finally understood. The Vivian who had looked at him with such adoration, who had cheered him on, who had cared for him so gently, who had laughed and thrown herself in his arms. She was gone forever. He lifted my body from the floor, carried me through the hotel and up to the roof. He held me close, walked to the edge, and jumped.